Sweet. Okay. Tell me a bit about how you got into property management.
Sure. I was working for the city of Long Beach about 20 years ago, 18 years ago. I worked for the city. There wasn't really much promotion opportunities, so I went to the private sector. I worked for a multimillionaire managing his commercial real estate. I just ran his office. Then I jumped to a firm here in Alhambra where I did management, and then I did basically their marketing for the last 3 years to expand their company, doubled their company growth. And then I started my own company 10 years ago.
Okay, cool. How did you get into the marketing aspect of your industry? You kind of, I guess, answered that a little bit.
Sure.
Go deeper.
Any business grows by having that, blood flow coming in through new accounts and just the energy that comes around with that. So you have to do marketing no matter what you're doing. If you're selling hamburgers at McDonald's or you're selling properties or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So by default, I had to learn marketing just to make sure that my company would grow and that I could sustain my expenses.
Okay, cool. Were there any career paths other than marketing and property management that you had in mind before choosing,
that's a good question. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a long time ago, I wanted to get into politics, and I did some internships through a couple of cities.
I did that too. Cool.
Worked for a mayor, and I realized quickly that I didn't want to get into politics anymore.
Shoot. Okay, interesting.
Other than investment and real estate in general, but I tried that for a while.
Okay, cool. Was it difficult to develop a marketing skill set for your company, seeing as how you came? It was about property at first, but then was it hard for you to get into the marketing aspect or develop?
Absolutely, and it still is. So initially, I wanted to manage properties. I enjoy taking an investment. There are things that you can do: raise rents, lower expenses. You can make $1 million property worth $1.2 million not very easily, but easily through some strategic planning, through just managing properties. So, one of my passions is just managing these different investments for people, watching how they pay off their mortgages, how their wealth grows, equity, appreciation, all those kind of fun things that makes it a great investment for passive income. So I enjoy that. With marketing, I had to learn marketing in order to make my business grow. So it's by default, it's just one part of the aspect of managing these properties. So as my business grew, and then I didn't manage too many properties, I managed people that manage those properties, and I set up systems and checks and balances and grew an infrastructure to manage the properties. One part of that was always marketing, and I think we project 15% growth every year. That's our goal. We write down our goals. So I hope to have that every year. I think last year I made 12. The initial first couple of years, it was so much easier when you went from 10,000 income to 15,000 income. I could make 50% growth. But then as it grew, the larger the management revenue came in each month, it was harder. Every $500 account was actually such a smaller percentage. So, did that properly answer your question? Or no?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna ask one more. Sorry, my other client's texting me. Hold on a second. Come to the back lot. What about? Well, to expand upon that? How was your marketing strategy changed? So, like when you first started doing that, the way you were doing marketing versus now, your company's a lot bigger. You have bigger goals, dollar amounts. How has that changed or expanded?
Initially, it was me on the streets asking for referrals from existing clients that I was doing a good job. Marketing to everyone I knew at the bank, to everyone I would meet on a street corner, just trying to get any business that I could get. As the systems came in place, you still do that, but we have a specific demographic. We've been able to research and find out owners that are in equity positions through title searches, and I know what type of owner I want because they can afford it. They've owned their properties for a while. They have a lot of equity. I can potentially sell it later. So I have a target market that I've identified. So it's just getting in front of them and making sure that, because it's a service industry, making sure that they see me as the expert make sure that they get, they do mail. They're in their 80s. They don't get
Okay,
email.
so it's older. Your demographic you mentioned earlier in our session, it's older.
They're retired. They bought these properties a long time ago. They have the finances to pay for management. They have lots of passive income coming in. So those are the people I want to work with because they're more apt to sell their properties, exchange their properties into bigger properties. They want to buy more. They have money. It's just all that.
You taught so, and then that's actually something good to mention is that you specifically target older people because of those reasons because they tend to have more properties and stuff, and more resources.
So that's my target market is those people with that equity position that I know they have the finances. Happens to be they're older because they've owned their property a long time.
Makes sense.
Now the demographics changing. The last couple of years, it's transferring over to the children. We're liquidating a lot of estates. So it's constantly like my target market. I still have to get in front of them all the time, even if I don't know them. They're not my clients that I talk to regularly and work with. I have this pool of like 1,100. People in San Gabriel Valley that we're always sending them mailers. We send them when I speak at an expo. I'll write for a magazine monthly, and I make sure that they get that magazine. So they constantly see me and they see my mug, and then it's so much easier because when they want management, they finally come to management because management's kind of like throw your hands up in the air. I don't want to manage the property anymore.
Okay.
Or they got sued, or they have vacancies, or whatever challenges that they're having. They automatically think of, okay, that's the expert. I better go find the expert. I'm going to hire the expert.
That's who they know when they think about the expert.
So then, if I'm constantly in front of them, they see me, then they'll come to me when they're ready to hire.
Okay, cool. And then you also said that that's interesting because now I just realized part of your marketing isn't just to new people, but it's also to establishing a relationship with your current clients, correct?
Yes, that's dual. I'll manage, and then I want to sell the properties.
Right.
There's
a
larger profit margin, obviously, for selling their properties. So managing is one aspect, so I can manage their properties or do the maintenance from their properties.
So in our class, we learned about relationship marketing. That's part of it. It's not just about selling, but also building a relationship and keeping.
And I want my clients to know that I'm the expert because when they talk to their friends about it, or they're
also marketing
money
for you in a sense.
Circles with big money.
Yeah, training is very similar. Okay, cool. That's actually really good. I didn't have that on here, but that's great because we go over that. Okay. You said you mentioned before, I guess, why property management? Because you mentioned before to me personally that you liked property always growing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched my grandfather not make a lot of money, but secure his retirement, build a new home, pass on some opportunities in the form of land to his children, his grandchildren, including myself. So that was very inspiring to watch him, take properties that he worked hard to pay off the mortgages and work a lot, farm, to sell that off and then secure his retirement.
Okay.
So that inspired me to do what I do today.
Okay, cool, good. And then, is there any are there any responsibilities that you haven't mentioned so far, like about marketing? Like, I do also do this and something else I do, and consistently on a regular basis.
I have a small company. There are like 5 of us that take on marketing. My assistant, I now have a business partner.
Okay.
We have a graphics guy. We have these things that we do. So I think, I don't consider myself a marketing professional, but by default, I figured out who I want to market to, how I can make money from them, how I do that. And I've done a lot of trial and error in trying to figure out what works. So we're constantly doing that. So I think if I mentioned anything, it would just be that, from that, there isn't a manual in my industry that says this is what you do and this is how you'll make money from it and this is how you'll get clients, other than being honest and doing a good job and all those kind of things that are expected. So, from that, you try out a lot of marketing things. We spend a lot of money on harebrained ideas every year, that don't always work, but we have a few ideas that, it'll pierce and we'll make a big $20,000, $30,000 sale from it, oh, wow, that works. So, it's a lot of trial and error, I feel, in my industry of really what works. And then it's hard to figure out a return on my investment. Say I spend $1,000 on marketing mailers. I track it every year. I track all of this stuff, but it's not like I spend that $1,000 and I get $50 from it.
Right. Okay. I'm going to ask you this one. I'm going to go tell my next client something while you answer this. To expand upon that, what are some of the strategies that you've tried that have worked, and what are the strategies you tried that didn't work, and what obstacles have you encountered? Okay. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to go tell my next client.
Strategies that have worked. One is just having that personal contact and relationship with your specific clients. We're in a service industry, so obviously I service these clients. They have to do a good job. They'd go to somewhere else to hire property management, or they would trust somebody else. So I think what works is definitely just having that personal relationship with your client, having that personal contact with them, and then also having like repeated follow-up with them. So you identify when there's a problem, and if there is a problem, you correct it so you don't lose that client or something happens. So personal contact always works. The direct marketing works. I think the big thing that we figured out 8 or 10 years ago was establishing ourselves as like the experts in the industry. So we funnel a lot of money into like speaking at different events, making sure they ask us to speak at different events. I write an article every month for a different magazine.
We saw one of your articles in class,
so people read my article, and then they even though they don't know you, they just kind of like, oh, okay, there's that guy, and then and then you meet him at a convention, and they're like, oh wow,
I remember,
and then they just kind of feel like they know you.
They have some comfort with you, some little bit of trust.
Often people will come into our office and they'll sign up with us, and I don't even have to really sell them, because they feel like they somehow
you've already built
after all these
value,
years.
and they've been reading, so they kind of trust you and stuff.
So all of those things, I think definitely the personal contact and service, those work. That's just default.
Personal contact, service, okay.
You have to know what you're selling. You have to know, how to do it, all that kind of stuff with any service industry. But, that personal contact works. What doesn't work within my industry so well is, my clients are older. They're a different mindset. They don't use email as much.
Right.
Half of them use email right now. So a lot of them, I have to do those direct mailers. I have to have that personal relationship.
Yeah.
So what doesn't work so much for me landing new clients is like Facebook. I don't think I've ever gotten a client off Facebook.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, you get the exposure with people that tell other people and may refer you someone here and there. But, I'm after the multi-million-dollar person that has their properties and owns a bunch of other properties and wants to buy some other properties. And, I'm after...
Yeah, they're not too much doing business through Facebook.
I'm after one fish, not the whole school of fish.
Right,
so
right.
Anyway, it's a little bit different. So that type of stuff, we have to have a good website. We have to have all those different things. But that really hasn't worked so well for me. I think another thing is, I've tried over the years to try to have somebody within my company be that person that helps to do marketing. It's okay for small aspects of it, but I can't really turn it loose onto someone
right,
else.
Okay.
I have a few key people, our executive staff that are able to land people and do that kind of stuff, but it's not like I could just hire somebody off the street to do marketing because they may not know real estate, property management, and speak the same lingo.
Okay, interesting.
That other people do. So that's a little I guess that would be specific to our industry, our marketing professional. I could go find a company that does marketing, I guess, for property management companies.
But you choose to do it yourself.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. It's fun.
Okay.
What works, what didn't work, and then what was the last one?
Oh, any obstacles? Like, man, this was a really pain in the ass thing for us.
I would say sticking with a budget. I'm easily sold on something that I think is going to be a great idea, or something that I think our owners are going to love, or how I get in front of really the next person. So I really have to be reeled in to say, okay, like I'll sponsor a couple of little softball leagues and all this kind of crap that everyone wants. Everyone has some kid that they want you to sponsor their Girl Scouts or whatever. So staying on track with a budget, you can kind of scratch some of that, because most of it's like we want to spend like right now we're doing a DVD set from a seminar that we did a couple months ago. So we had it videoed
on the website. Is it the same seminar?
No, it's a different one. So we took the video from our speeches, put it on a DVD, and now we're going to do a direct mailer to different people. So that's something. We're dropped a couple $1,000s on that. Okay. I don't know if it's going to work.
It's an investment.
So you're constantly, it seems like a good idea, but how at the end of the year I can equate, okay, I got a client from business? That. I got a guy that we manage his $500 a month account.
So you track that.
We track it, of course.
Okay, so that's important too. He actually tracks where that stuff comes from. Also, look up brand loyalty. That pertains to him talking about his relationship with his clients and having a good relationship with them, so that brand loyalty. Look it up. Anyways, let me see something else.
I think, it doesn't matter so much for this, but I think, we run about a 30-40% referral business every year. So I know my existing clients that refer me other clients, they're easier to land, and I
referrals.
almost always land those. So if I do a good job for my current clients, I ask them for their business, then they're more apt to give me,
because they trust you and their friends trust them.
Although the last 2 or 3 years we've been kind of aggressive with Yelp, because as people get older, you have a lot of self-managed people, their children are taking over, or they rely on their grandkids to help them with whatever management. They realize they can't because it's too specialized. You're going to get sued if you say the wrong thing, or all these kind of crazy things that could happen in our industry. We have really gotten a lot of business from Yelp.
Okay, so you have great Yelp reviews, by the way. There's one, but other than that, they're phenomenal.
Because we have figured out how to manipulate Yelp. Although they will shut us down again if they find out. But we constantly run a campaign in our office to give the employee $25 if they can get one of our existing tenants or owners to do a positive Yelp review. Plus, we send 2 movie tickets to the Yelp person that gives us a 5-star review.
You got to work it where you can.
It's small stuff, but it's basically just the incentive for somebody to write a positive review. Because management companies, I can't believe they charge me a late fee, my sink broke, they complain about anything and everything, and they leave nasty reviews.
Right.
This has been like 3 or 4 years in the making, because you can't do it all at once.
Yeah.
They can't be fake, all this kind of stuff. So from that, we have 4 or 5 stars right now, and we're constantly trying to get more positive reviews because we get a lot of negative.
Okay.
It really works, because I bet I land 1 or 2 accounts a month that actually came from Yelp. They're all small accounts. They're the small little things, $100 account.
Adds
here,
up, right?
But definitely Yelp the last couple of years.
Huge.
For people that are now using the internet, that are that age, or their kids are searching.
Yeah, so I've heard the same thing. Yelp's for 24-hour fitness, we'll see a drop in revenue at the gyms if we have bad Yelp reviews. Then lawsuits. Kind of talk about the lawsuits a little bit. How significant are they? How common are they?
There are a lot of lawsuits hitting our industry the last couple of years. They're all frivolous. I haven't been sued for one legitimate lawsuit, and I bet I've been in 20 lawsuits in the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And when they hit big. Attorneys, it's a very specialized industry. They sue me personally. They sue the company personally. They spray and pray with these lawsuits. I've had owners write out checks, hundreds of thousands of dollars from their own personal pockets. It's scary, scary stuff. So
wow.
For a business owner, it scares the hell out of me. I lose sleep every night when I get sued, because I worry that this is going to be the one that they get a judgment, and this will be the one that takes out my company, and I'll have to start over. So they're very scary, but they're so specialized in how attorneys do them, if your insurance will even cover it, because I bet 6 or 7 different insurance policies and riders for different stuff, but it doesn't always cover stuff. Attorneys sue for fraud and gross negligence, and that's not covered by any insurance. And then they try to pierce the insurance, and they try to pierce you personally. So it's this big legal game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get a lot of lawsuits. I even have a class action lawsuit right now, totally frivolous. She worked for me for 2 months. I have her time cards. It's totally bogus, but it's just another way, and that's been going on 2 years. Luckily my client's paying. She's paid about $200,000 in defending it. But that's a huge thing. That $200,000. My client will probably sue me when it's all said and done if it doesn't settle. We'll have a battle about our contract, who's liable, everything else. It's those type of things could take out my company.
Yeah, it's a huge, complicated thing.
And it's one of those risky things that it's not something like I did something to my employee, or I pushed somebody down a stair and they broke their legs. And I'm liable.
Oh, you were a bad guy, right? And then
it's just totally frivolous, bogus stuff.
Someone trying to kind of come up with something. You don't have to do this. I have to do my client, but I really like what you're saying. It's good stuff. If you could, I even have this on my phone.
Okay.
We left off. I asked you about the lawsuit. You can mention more about that, and then if you can just, it ends right, kind of here.
So answer those.
Yeah, and then if it closes off,
you
press that, and then all you gotta do is swipe up.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll answer those, and then I'll shut it off.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. Perfect. And then we ended. Let me see. We ended right. Yeah. We talked about the lawsuits, and if you want to mention more.
Cool.
Thanks, dude. You're the shit.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll be out too.
Okay. Question is, what are the relevancy or significance of lawsuits in your industry? I think just the fear for owning a small business in California, and how litigious the industry is for small business owners. I'm literally any business owner right now. There's so many small laws that you have to do compliance, and if you own a small business, how do you afford to make sure you're in compliance with everything? Conflicting laws, they'll have case law that kind of you have to keep on top of, or rely on the different attorneys that are specialized in whatever industry that you have to kind of keep you updated, because it's literally like if you don't give an employee their paycheck when they quit on you, you're liable, and then you can get drawn into some really crazy lawsuit that alleges hundreds of thousands of dollars for something that was completely bogus. That was, they didn't get their final paycheck today, they left and they didn't pick it up type thing. So it seems ridiculous, but anyway, I think that's my fear. What are the most important aspects for marketing for your industry? Did I go over that? No, I didn't. Okay, so most important aspects for marketing to your industry, I think, is just knowing your target market. If you don't know who you're marketing to, then you really don't have a plan. You don't have a map to have success in your marketing, because you're not specific in who you're marketing to. So anyway, I think that's the most important aspect, is who are you trying to reach? How are you trying to reach them? I'm selling a service, but I'm not really selling like a product or anything that they could just buy and then they're gone. I'm selling something that I have to be in a relationship with them. I'm going to manage them monthly. I'm going to get passive income from these people, and I have to do a good job, or they'll leave me. Have you noticed any Have you noticed any trends in the industry in terms of marketing effectiveness, like certain things that work certain times and anymore? Yeah, I started this company 10 years ago. So 10 years ago is very different than it is today. And when I did marketing for the other company, and I basically over a couple of years, I more than doubled that business. And that was one of the reasons why, I went out on my own with my existing clients, is, I just saw the opportunity growth there. So things that have worked, like the trends, like I mentioned, Yelp, it's now working where it wasn't even something that was relevant 5 years ago. Direct mailers that used to work 10 years ago, they're not as effective now. People get too many of them at home. That's not how you really find out about a service industry, kind of what I'm in. So, where we used to throw a lot of money at those different things, not so much now. You don't have to have that. You can do other things that are far more effective, because marketing is constantly changing, because the people are changing, the demographics changing, the industry is changing. So you kind of have to just be liquid. You have to adapt to whatever's working, and then constantly try new things. If I still thought that sending direct label mailers out was working, my mindset was from 10 years ago, then my company would be ineffective. I wouldn't have that constant growth every year to sustain my company, the expenses and everything else that come from that. The next question is, how have you dealt with competition you faced, and how did you deal with it in terms of marketing strategy for overall business strategy? So this is a good question. So I want all of my target market, all of my clients, to see me as the expert. If they see me as the expert, then they won't go to anyone else when they have a question, if they think twice about management or any of those things. So my competition, I have to kind of rise above that. I have to be in certain associations, the apartment associations. I spend a lot of money. I speak at a lot of things. I write these magazine articles. I try to make sure that my clients think that I'm the perfect person to manage their property, and there is no doubt in their mind that anyone else could do half of the job that it is. So with that, I have to change my company strategy. Sometimes we'll adapt to inspections, or we'll adapt to how we serve notices, and all these type of infrastructural changes that I have to do within the company to make sure that I'm effectively managing all these properties. But the biggest thing with my competition is setting myself aside from them, that I'm not some run-of-the-mill property management company. I'm the expert, and they need to hire me because I am the expert and I have the best system in place to be it. A good example is McDonald's. McDonald's is not the most successful hamburger chain because they have the best hamburger. Everyone knows that McDonald's hamburger is not the greatest hamburger around, but they have the most effective system to make hamburgers. So that their system's been in place for so long, and how they operate is so effective that they're able to be the largest hamburger chain in the world. Okay, so competition. Outside of that, we sometimes lose accounts. We're able to, we have a system in the office of when we think one's in jeopardy for like risk management and trying to salvage it before it happens. But yeah, you're always going to have competition, and you just have to set yourself aside, at least in the service industry, that you're the expert versus somebody else. Okay, how has your industry changed from when you started until now? It's still the same. It's still management, but it's just changed. Like my grandfather, I can remember him doing contracts with a handshake. That's unheard of, now. Our lease agreements updated every single year, not only by our attorney, but by us, who we want to implement new things or new challenges that we face within the year of how we can change our lease to better our operations and protect ourselves from other people. So, I think those are just ways that things have changed. You can't be so stuck in your mind that things are going to be constant always. You have to adapt to change. You have to be knowledgeable and feel what the industry is doing and how it's adapting to different stuff. For instance, I'm talking very like industry specific, but 5 years ago, mold lawsuits were the big claim, and then lead-based paint was big for a while, and now it's these frivolous lawsuits. So there's constantly change within the industry, and if you can't adapt to that change, you're going to be stagnant, and you're not going to be able to one, grow your business. You're just going to lose more business, I guess. All right, and last question. Overall, are you glad you chose your path for yourself? Do you feel there's room for fun and creativity in your business so far, or is it all just stress? This is a good question. I like this. Absolutely, I'm glad I chose this path, and I'm glad I had some obstacles that actually drove me in the direction to start my own business. It's very rewarding having your own business. I'm responsible for the path that I take and the business that I grow. It's stressful. Right now we have, I have 63 employees. Them and their families depend on making sure that I can make payroll every 2 weeks. That's stressful. That's crazy. I didn't get a trust fund. I didn't start this business with, a couple $100,000. It all came from my sweat and my equity. So many of the first years, I couldn't take owner draws. There weren't, I didn't even have a salary. There were times when I had to juggle, my own personal residence to make sure that I could build the business. So, from that, it's grown. I figured out the systems behind it, the cash flow, how to make money, where to focus myself. We've been lucky enough to even buy our own building, the other company, the maintenance company. It's grown, it's profitable now. It's even more profitable than the management company. It just bought its own building. So they're fun little things that go on, but there's a lot of stress of having that many employees, managing people, which I don't necessarily like to manage people. I like to manage investments and properties. But overall, I wouldn't change a thing. I kind of come from how my owners have made themselves into multimillionaires through conservative investing in properties, and they've enjoyed like passive income, these little streams of revenue from that. So, my business is one stream of revenue. I'm not there right now, but it's generating income. I'm going to be doing something this weekend, but my business is I'm going to be collecting a management fee every hour that goes on. There's a proportionate share of the management fee. So, if I don't show up on Monday, it's still going to go on. There could be opportunities lost or things that happen or whatever, but it's still going to be there, and it's still going to be an entity that's chugging along and also throwing off passive income. So that's really my real goal in these companies, is to get them up to where they're completely run by other people, that I'm only a minimal part, but I continue to get the passive income from it and the opportunity. Kind of like owning a property. You know, your tenants are paying the mortgage, you're getting a return on your investment, you're building equity, kind of the same thing with these little businesses. And do I feel there's room for fun and creativity in your business, or is it just all stress? I think that's more of like a personal aspect of how you look at life, how you treat things. There's always creativity. There's always room for fun. You have to have a positive attitude about things. You have to joke about things. You know, if I couldn't laugh every time we get sued for some frivolous lawsuit or you know, do that, I would just blow up. I would lose all the hair in my head. You know, it would just be too stressful that I would probably have a heart attack. So you have to surround yourself with other people that have a positive look on life, and they can't take things so seriously that you can't have fun in what you do. I spend more time working than I do with my family, so it's important for me to ensure that the people I surround myself at work have the same career path, the same goals, and, you know, complementary personalities that make my living arrangement, you know, my life around them also good. In addition to expecting them to make sure that they do their job, they're efficient, they're effective, and they're doing everything. So I think that's it. So side note for that, David, inspire you to start your own business, do exactly what you're doing and grow this, and make yourself a multimillionaire from what you're doing, because you're passionate at what you do. Good luck.